How does your Orthodox faith inform your work with First Things?
Yeah, so I think primarily what happened to me in terms of Orthodox Christianity is the Orthodox people that I knew, Herman, and that taught me about my faith, they took this proposition very seriously. And it's not really a proposition, it's a reality, right? Is that God became man so that man could become like God. Like, that's freaky. Okay, that is a paradox. That is not sensible, and it's odd, especially if you take it very seriously. And so what is that? That's like this crazy unity of unequals, but somehow making each one necessary. God is working with man, and man needs God, and God needs man on some level. It's nuts, right? It's really a profound, profound mystery. And so what happened was I'm like, well, if that's the way that God works, at least in the church, how does it look in creation? But then you start to look around, and everything works like this. Everything, like we were just talking about, wealthy and poor societies, and communities need to work together, man and wife, right? Teacher and student. And you start to realize that the wisdom of the old world is always sounding like that, yin and yang, and that the icon, the image of God is everywhere in this way. And so it's not equality in the Marxist sense. That's not what this is, right? There's still a man and a woman. They're diverse. They're different. And, Paul says one is over the other, but there is an equality in the relationship. And it's like between, God gives us our freedom. And so what happened is designing this with my buddies, the goal was to create that deep, profound equality. And so the goal is to make our work look sort of like we should as humans, and as God is to us, is in unity and working together. So there's a deep, profound equality in the work. And so that's why we live in a mud hut. That's why we, we'll take medicine to not get malaria. But if you go to Africa, you're getting it. But a lot of organizations will do everything they can to avoid that. And so there's a certain type of grittiness that comes out of trying to live this way. And secondly, I would say that it plays out in the structure of our organization. Like Dostoevsky talks about, freedom is essential. Freedom is essential. So if you don't want aid, you don't, that's no problem. Nobody wants to force it on you, First Things. But here's the flip side. If you join First Things, you go into the field, get ready, because there's going to be a ton of freedom. There's going to be a ton of freedom. There's no way out of it. In fact, the freedom will often really irritate you. I've seen it again and again. Herman, you'll like this, because there tend to be 20-somethings going. And what happens is they get detached from the organization. Not we talk and everything, but when you're living in Mayan Momostenango, you know what, Herman, you and I really can't understand that person fully. We cannot get it. We kind of get it. I get it. Oh, yeah. But we constantly are missing the Georgian Republic and Alcaltzique. I don't really get it. But Kevin, who's there right now, gets it. So what happens is you have to have a high degree of autonomy to do the work there. It's not a hierarchical structure. There's a lot of autonomy in our organization. And I think that looks a lot like proper orthodoxy. I really do. It's that confederate idea versus sort of the Catholic, papist federal idea. There's a top down to orthodoxy. Of course there is, but there's a conciliarity to it all.
Yeah, and a profound emphasis on freedom.
Yeah, I think that's my answer. And I've thought about that a lot. It's hard to maintain, though, Herman, because a lot of people want you to tell them what to do. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, well, he talks about that a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Yeah,
well, there it is. There it is again. Same concept. Yeah,
that's right. So that kind of segues a little bit into the Lytometer. So, you
want to do
talking
it?
About the old world. Absolutely. Well, just tell us about the Lytometer. What? what's the Lytometer, first of all, and
Super.
why do you use it on your podcast? And
for sure.
Yeah.
Do you want me to give me 1 second here?
Yep.
Oh, I think I actually weirdly might have had it pulled up, but didn't mean to. Let's see. So the Lytometer, your very English pronunciation is wonderful. Lytometer. I have said on the show Lytometer. So the Lytometer or the Lytometer, we realized about 10 episodes in that a lot of people were interested, but they couldn't figure out what the heck I was talking about. Like, what's the old world? Like, what is it? You know what I mean? What are you talking about? So then you could explain historically what it is. You know what I mean? But then you got to get into the Enlightenment, and then, okay, some people don't want to really deal with that. Like, yikes, that's over my head. Especially you start talking about, like, I don't know, Enlightenment philosophers, and they're like, whoa. So what is it? So what we did is Daniel and I and Andrew, some of the guys who work with First Things, we sat down and we said, okay, we need a little test that tells people where they stand. Like, how old world are you? How new world are you? So you want to do it with me?
Sure.
You want to take the test?
Sure.
Let's do it. Okay, here we go. This test is devised at Science, Herman. It's very rational. MIT did a study on this. So when you get the answer, you will know exactly what type of person you are, old and new world. You ready? Question 1. When you die, Herman, you won't really die all the way. It's more like you'll be sleeping, waiting for a next world of some sort. There's your first question. Here are your options. You strongly agree. You agree. You disagree. Or you strongly disagree. And each one of those, I'm looking for a pen here. Do you have a pen right there?
I've got something I can take notes on.
It's really easy. Each one of those comes with a number. So
okay.
When you die, you really won't die all the way. It's more like you'll be sleeping, waiting for a next world of some sort. 3, strongly agree. 2, agree. 1, disagree. 0, strongly disagree.
3.
3. Got it. Here's your second question. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll. Here we go. Second question. The best way for me to know myself is to ask someone else about me. The best way for you to know yourself, Herman, is to ask someone else about you. 3, strongly agree. 2, agree. 1, disagree. 0, strongly disagree.
Strongly agree.
Okay. You are getting some numbers down. Third question. Now, remember, this test is to find out exactly where you stand on this great divide called New World, Old World. When I carry a picture of someone I love in my purse or wallet, I'm actually sort of carrying that person around with me. Like, they are there, actually close to me. 3, strong agree. 2, agree. 1, disagree. 0, strongly disagree.
2.
All right.
Agree.
Got it. Did you write it down?
Yeah.
Here's your fourth question of 5. Respect isn't earned. Respect is owed by me to each person I meet. Respect isn't earned.
Agree. Strongly agree.
Strongly agree. 3. And finally, the 5th question on this very scientific test. I hope and expect to take my parents in and have them live with me when they get old and infirmed. Or if you flip it, I expect to live near my kids, even preferably in their house when I get old and infirmed. In other words, it depends what stage you are in life. I hope and expect to take my parents in, or I hope and expect to live near my parents when I get older. Strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree. I think I know this answer.
Man, I'm gonna have to get back to you for that one. We'll go strongly agree, I guess.
You add up your number. Can you tell me your number?
15. No, 12, 14.
14. I want you to know something, Herman. Herman, at a 14, you have not won the Francis Bacon Award. That would be something like a 0. That would mean that old world thinking has the same appeal to you as placing leeches on an open sore. You are so light. You are such a light person, such a new world person that you enjoy concocting new ways to study effects that scientific studies have on science students. You are not Francis Bacon, and you did not win the Francis Bacon Award. You are not a high nooner. That means the bright light of the new world hovers at high noon for you. That's not you. You're not even a shining city dweller on the hill, Herman. If you had scored a 4 through a 6, you would have had hope in the modern world because you trust science and read it. If you scored 7 through 11, you would be called a suburbanite. You feel romantic about the old world. You like the security of hierarchy, but hierarchy is mostly a word you'd rather read about in a book. You are not a suburbanite. You are not. You are the villager. Would you like to hear a description of where you fall on the Lytometer?
Please.
There's a good chance, Herman, that you hate malls. Places like Algeria and Ethiopia will roll out the red carpet for you, buddy. Your Spotify collection probably includes chants from some hard to pronounce province, and you wish there was more hierarchy in the world. You are a villager. But you are not the highest possible score. That would be the Charlemagne. If you had scored 15, you're full retro. You think the old world style is number 1. You probably drink from a goblet. You are not that. So this is a fun way to say, and by the way, I'm not joking. It tracks. It's very weird when I talk to my buddies out in LA. They get 2s and 3s and 4s all the time.
Have you had any 15s?
No. You and my sister scored 14s and 13s. You may be highest on the list. I scored pretty high. I was 9 or 10, depending on the day. Uncle Seth on our podcast, I think he scored a 4. He actually, to be fair to him, he was closer to the villager. I think he was closer to kind of down the middle. So anyway, why we do that? In the end, the whole podcast is just us bringing some of what we learned in the old world to new world folks, laying out a thesis, talking about it, what we can learn from both cultures. And if people don't really know what they are, like even where they sit, how it works, then I think they have a harder time understanding the context. So it's just a fun way to try to place people in history.
Did years burn out those words? Did a voice whisper absurd? Did your mind comprehend and ask if you'd last till the end?